I have just one thing, if I may.
Yeah, go ahead.
Just wanted to mention I did have a request from a citizen in my district to review Hillsdale County Commissions. It was mostly pertaining to COVID and the effect on small business as we've previously discussed. Uh, I did so and found much of it to be items which we had previously discussed. I would, however, like to send a copy of the resolution to all the commissioners to review in the event it may become useful in the future. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thanks, Bruce. Is there further correspondence? Hearing none, we'll move ahead. Consent items, Commissioner Gibson.
Mr. Chair, I move for approval of the March 9th, 2021 Board of Commissioners meeting minutes. Item B, approval of February 16th, 2021 Committee of the Whole meeting minutes. Item C, approval to reappoint Bob Becker, Deb Height, Linda Mop, and Jennifer Meyer to serve on the Berry County Community Mental Health Authority Board for a 3-year term that begins on April 1st, 2021 and expires on March 31st, 2024. And approval to appoint Colleen Tukala to serve on the Berry County Community Mental Health Authority for a 3-year term that begins on April the 1st, 2020 and expires on March 31st, 2023. Item D, approval to sell the following surplus automobile via sealed bid to the highest bidder, 2002 Ford F-150 truck, VIN 2FTRF18W12CA36604. Two 2011 Chevy Tahoe, VIN number 1GNLC2EOXBR195961 and IGNLC2EO4BR287678 and a 2015 Ford all-wheel drive Interceptor, VIN number 1FM5K8ARXFGA21459. Item E, approval to purchase a new 2021-2015 Scout XSF vessel with a 2021 Mercury 200 XL DTS motor and a 2021 Phoenix trailer from Skipper Buds in Grand Haven, Michigan for $73,000, and approval to trade in the 2007 Four Winds Funship 2004 vessel HIN GFN MK003G607 for attached quote. Item F, approval of the Attached Consulting Services contract extension with MGT of America Incorporated to provide indirect cost accounting services for fiscal year 2020 and 2021 and authorize the chair to sign the agreement. Item G, approval to reappoint Craig Stolzenberg to serve in the position of citizen at large on the Berry County Tax Allocation Board for a 1-year term that begins on 4/1/2021, expires on 3/31/2022.
Is there support? Good job, Boo.
Support, Smelker.
There you go.
Motion by Gibson, supported by Smelker to approve the items listed under the consent agenda. Discussion is not allowed and a roll call vote is required. The clerk will call the roll.
Connor.
Yes.
Ready.
Yes.
Gibson.
Yes.
Jackson.
Yes.
Smelfer.
Yes.
Campbell.
Yes.
Geiger.
Yes, the consent agenda is approved. Presentations, we have Aaron Moore, District Director for Michigan State University Extension District 7 to present annual report for the district. Good morning, Aaron.
Good morning, and thank you, Chairman Geiger. Do I have permission to share my screen? Or would you like to share?
We can give you permission.
Wonderful.
We trust Aaron.
It says host is disabled participant screen sharing. So I'll just, I think
Yeah. There you go.
There we go. All right. Can everyone see my screen okay?
Yes.
Awesome. All right, well, we are here to present our 2020 annual report. And as you all know, 2020 was a unique year, and it certainly presented many challenges for MSU Extension, but it really presented a lot of opportunity for us as well. And that's what we want to highlight today. So I wanted to do something a little different. Over the last couple of years, I've been talking about bringing down staff from or staff from around different counties to make sure that we're serving Berry County with our diverse programs. So today I've invited two of my colleagues to speak to you about how they did just that over the last 2 years. So first I'm going to hand it over to Holly Teray. Holly is a social and emotional health educator, and she had quite a bit of success in the last 2 years growing partnerships down in Berry County. So Holly, are you able to speak? And I will advance our slides.
I think I am. Can you hear me?
Sure can.
Okay, so classes we provided in Berry County to promote social emotional health across the lifespan in 2020 included Relax Alternatives to Anger, Stress Less with Mindfulness, and Teaching Kids Mindful Eating, with a total of 87 participants. Some of our community partners that we've reached out to are the Berry County Commission on Aging, the Lighthouse on the Lake, the Family Support Center of Berry County, and also My Registry, which is a statewide platform of approved professional development hours for childcare providers and other early childhood educators. Next slide. So we're looking forward to offering classes in person when appropriate and continuing to offer classes online, including phone-in options. We're excited to be able to offer some additional programming, such as powerful tools for caregivers of adults and caregivers of special needs children, the Wellness Initiative for Senior Education series, and a suite of one-time workshops to promote social, emotional, mental, and physical health through MSU Extension's Mindfulness for Better Living. Some topics include maintaining your health during challenging times, changing negative self-talk, mindful educators, and caring for the caregiver. Most of all, we look forward to expanding partnerships to provide social emotional health across the lifespan in Berry County. Some of my wish list includes Pennock Hospital, local libraries, substance abuse treatment centers, and community mental health. And thank you for allowing me to present today.
Thanks, Holly. So Holly's classes were our #1 requested class in all of 2020. That was one of the impetuses for inviting her to speak with you today, because I wanted you all to know that she is a resource, her team is a resource. So as you work on your boards and your commissions and with your constituents, I would love for you to keep her in mind. As she mentioned, she has a wish list for partners, and part of that is working through our county commissioners to make sure we're serving your constituents as they need. We serve over 6,000 people across the state with this level of programming. So thanks, Holly. So now I'd like to a few years ago, you asked, when I presented to the board said, hey, how are you all going to support the Blue Zones initiative? The Blue Zones is a countywide initiative, and some of the county's biggest partners are involved in this initiative, and MSU Extension has also stepped up to the table. So I'd like to now introduce Garrett Ziegler. Garrett is a community food systems educator who's been serving the Blue Zones initiative this past year and a half. So Garrett, are you also able to speak for a few minutes?
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Erin, and thank you to the board members for providing this opportunity. I'm really excited to come talk to you today, even virtually, about the amazing work that's been happening in Berry County around food systems. And for some folks that might not be just kind of totally aware of what community food systems work is all about, it's a little bit different than the work that Holly does with a lot of like programming and education, those sorts of things. We do a lot more work around connecting local communities to resources, providing technical assistance, and just supporting kind of these countywide, larger systems-based projects, of which Blue Zones is definitely one. And I think maybe you all are familiar with what Blue Zones is, but it's really about helping community be healthier, whether that's through getting out and being active, recreating. But a lot of it has to do with food, the food that people have access to, the food that people are eating, the food that is being grown and produced in Berry County. So that's kind of where I've focused my work and supporting Blue Zones, is kind of working on the food side. And a lot of that is really around developing community food systems and community food systems projects in Berry County. So what I've been able to do in working with Blue Zones is really kind of support the work that Allison, the manager of the Blue Zones project, is doing around food. A lot of it has been kind of bringing the expertise that I've developed in my years at Extension and working in Kent County and other counties across the state and on other statewide projects and networks to just, be able to connect the Blue Zones project here in Berry County to different resources. We've been also able to educate them about specific topic areas. We did a webinar on farm to institution programs around the state and kind of how local food policy councils can work with farm to institution programs. So we have some large food buyers here in Berry County, like Spectrum Health Pennock Hospital, the local school systems that can really have an impact for local farmers if they're purchasing those foods locally. So that's definitely something we're focusing our work as part of the Blue Zones project on. Next slide, Aaron, thanks. So another really kind of big project that's been happening as part of this Blue Zones food systems work has been the selection of a marquee project. And this is something that's part of the Blue Zones Activate program and kind of how they go about implementing this 2-year project through the Blue Zones support. And as a community, they did a lot of research, came into the community, had conversations with local stakeholders and community members, presented kind of the results and findings of those conversations and that research, and then allowed the community to actually select a specific project that we wanted to focus on to develop and kind of bring to fruition as part of this Blue Zones project. And the thing that was selected was a local food hub or food hall. And it's something that it's kind of an exciting project. It's viewed as both a place for the community to come together around food, to be able to learn how to cook food in a cooking education classes, which MSU Extension can support through our Cooking Matters classes and nutrition education programs that we have, but also a place where new businesses can be developed. Restaurants, food vendors can come in and actually have space to sell their food or produce their food. So it can really be a larger community gathering and economic development piece for the county. And supporting this project, I've really been able to assist Blue Zones in connecting with some state programs. We did apply for a grant through an MDARD rural development grant. So we were really helping provide technical assistance on that grant writing project. Unfortunately, that grant was not funded. However, they were able to secure some funding to support that project of getting a feasibility study for this larger food hub or food hall project. So just really exciting work that's happening around this. And I can tell you that MSU Extension has really been able to support this work, and we're excited to continue that moving forward.
Thanks, Garrett. Yeah, and Garrett, as Garrett mentioned, really where we bring in our expertise is we've been working in community food systems for decades. And when new projects arise like this in a county, we want to make sure we're pulling in all of our resources. That's where we really thrive to say, hey, we might not have this expertise, but this is how MSU Extension functions as a unit, is that we bring that expertise from campus. We connect you with experts that know that work, that know that partner, that know that funder. So we will continue to walk step in step with this project to just make sure that the Blue Zones Initiatives knows that we're here to connect them to resources around the state. So I want to pivot here to 4-H. I know that's a strong pivot here, but 4-H is, when people think of Berry County, people think of 4-H. And this past year was certainly different in terms of how we programmed. But I had to remind myself before coming on today that the mission of 4-H is to help kids thrive in a complex and changing world. And boy, did we put that to the test this past year. We weren't able to have the county fair last year, and that was just heartbreaking for all of MSU Extension and of course the youth in this county. But the program remains really strong, and the youth in this county are resilient. We had 42 4-H clubs in 2020 with over 1,000 youth participating. We had 279 volunteers and 50 team leaders. And what I love about this program is that we function through this network of really dedicated volunteers, and they went to work last summer and they created these opportunities for youth to practice with their animals. So on the screen, you can see 2 of the Rabbit Club leaders created a virtual programming where the members researched the origin of their rabbit breed and submitted posters. And I just had to show you these pictures. They're just darling of these youth presenting their rabbits. Our horse leaders created a virtual horse show to keep members working with their horses. And then in addition to that, these youth submitted videos, and that's a new skill set that all of these youth are going to be needing to learn. It's a skill set that jobs are requiring now, is your ability to use social media as a platform. So we think that the leaders in this county did an excellent job keeping everyone engaged. And lastly, we did continue to award scholarships. So the 4-H awarded 6 scholarships to graduating seniors last year. So overall, this past year, Barre residents, because of the virtual delivery of programs that started around April, Barre residents were able to take advantage of 170 programs hosted by MSU Extension. So it's really given us something to think about, because this is a big uptick from years past. We are going to return to an in-person delivery model, and hopefully very, very soon. But what it's going to give us something to think about is all of those other programs we want to be able to offer to Barre County residents. So we are going to be considering hybrid models to make sure that all of these programs are accessible, hosted by educators across the state. And lastly, I wanted to just share a couple things that are upcoming. We are co-hosting a visioning session with Spectrum Pennock with some land that they have that they are going to be using to create sort of a public gathering space that could perhaps be a garden, could perhaps be something else. We have a learning garden up here in Kent County, and Janine Dahlman, who works with Foundation, drove up to Kent to look at it and said, we could do something like this in Barre. We would love that. So we are going to bring down our consumer horticulture specialist to look at the space and see what we can do there. Also, we have a Michigan Master Naturalist program coming up that we're co-hosting with Pierce Cedar Creek, and that's going to kick off registration in April, and we will host that all spring and summer long. So those are 2 new programs that are coming up that we're excited about. So with that, I'd just like to say thank you all for your support. The board and the administrator's office have been highly communicative since the beginning of the pandemic with weekly emails, and we really appreciate all that support. And I believe we have some time for questions, if that's okay, Chairman Geiger.
Yeah. Do any commissioners have questions or comments? Who?
Yes, Aaron, are you planning on the Barre County Fair this year?
I'm going to stop share if that's okay. That's a great question. We have not fully, so we are functioning right now on a 2-week basis. We're updating a website that sort of says 3 scenarios for the county fair. Right now, neither the MAFI, the State Fair Board, or MSU Extension have committed to the in-person fair. We do have to work through MAFI as a partner. And the 3 scenarios are, if the case rates drop, hospitalizations drop, we are very hopeful about the county fair moving forward in person this year. We have a lot of backup plans, based on new variants arising, case rates going up again. We do have those backup plans because we want to make sure that safety is is the most important part. So we haven't committed, but we are hopeful.
Thank you.
The question.
That's all I have.
Thank you, Commissioner. Well, it sounds like there's a lot of good things happening through MSU Extension despite this pandemic. And thank you to Aaron, Garrett, and Holly for presenting today. We look forward to seeing you in person again someday.
Sounds good. Thank you very much, and enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you. All right, we'll public hearings, we have none. Items for consideration.
Mr. Chairman, I would move for the approval of transfers and disbursements, approval of claims in the amount of $68,496.23.
Support, Gibson.
Moved by Connor, supported by Gibson for approvals of transfers and disbursements, approval of claims in the amount of $68,496.23. Is there discussion? Hearing none, the clerk will call the roll.
Getty,
Yes.
Gibson,
Yes.
Jackson,
Yes.
Smelker,
Yes.
Campbell,
Yes.
Connor,
Yes.
Geiger.
Yes, motion carries.
Mr. Chairman, I would move for the approval to reappoint James Alden to serve on the Zoning Board of Appeals for a 3-year term that begins on April 1st, 2021 and ends on March 31st, 2024.
Support Jackson.
Moved by Connor, supported by Jackson for approval to reappoint James Alden to serve on the Zoning Board of Appeals for a 3-year term that begins on April 1st, 2021, and expires on March 31st, 2024. Is there discussion? Hearing none, the clerk will call the roll.
Gibson,
Yes.
Jackson,
Yes.
Smelker,
Yes.
Baum,
Yes.
Connor,
Yes.
Getty,
Yes.
Geiger.
Yes, motion carries.
Mr. Chairman, I would move for the adoption of resolution number 2107, resolution supporting our small businesses.
Support Jackson.
Moved by Connor, supported by Jackson for the adoption of resolution 2107, a resolution supporting our small businesses. Is there discussion? Hearing no discussion, the clerk will call the roll.
Jackson,
Yes.
Smelker,
Yes.
Campbell,
Yes.
Connor,
Yes.
Getty,
Yes.
Gibson,
Yes.
Geiger.
Yes, the resolution is adopted.
Mr. Chair, I would move for the adoption of resolution 21-8, a resolution to authorize issuance of 2021 capital improvement and refunding bonds, Thornapple Manor Medical Care Facility, limited tax general obligation, and related manners.
Support Smelker.
Motion by Connor, supported by Smelker for the adoption of resolution 2108, a resolution to authorize issuance of 2021 capital improvement and refunding bonds, Thornapple Manor Medical Care Facility, limited tax general obligation, and related matters. Is there discussion? Hearing none, the clerk will call the roll.
Smelker,
Yes.
Campbell,
Yes.
Connor,
Yes.
Getty,
Yes.
Gibson,
Yes.
Jackson,
Yes.
Geiger.
Yes, the resolution is adopted.
Mr. Chairman, I would move for the adoption of resolution 21-09, resolution approving the tentative agreement reached and successor collective bargaining agreement with the Berry County Courthouse Employees Association for January 1st, 2021 through December 31st, 2025, and authorize the chair to sign the successor agreement.
Support Smelker.
Moved by Connor, supported by Smelker for the adoption of resolution 21-09, a resolution approving the tentative agreement reached and successor collective bargaining agreement with the Berry County Courthouse Employees Association for January 1, 2021 through December 31, 2025, and authorize the chair to sign the successor agreement. Is there discussion? Hearing none, the clerk will call the roll.
Campbell,
Yes.
Connor,
Yes.
Getty,
Yes.
Gibson,
Yes.
Jackson,
Yes.
Smelker,
Yes.
Geiger.
Yes, the resolution is adopted. I'll take this next one, Vivian. The chair would entertain a motion to schedule in-person Board of Commissioner and Committee of the Whole meetings beginning in April at a time to be determined.
Support Jackson.
Been moved by Jackson, supported by Smelker. Discussion? Okay, so it's a little bit nebulous of a motion, so I didn't want to throw a curveball at you, Vivian.
Thank you.
There's a couple of reasons that I want to take this one myself. The first is we need to continue our discussion of when we are going, if we want to use this opportunity to change our meeting time. Second of all, I did add something to the agenda, a resolution declaring a state of emergency. This is a technical resolution that we would need to pass in order to allow other local governments within the county to continue meeting by Zoom. I've been talking with Michael throughout the week, and the law that allows local governments to conduct meetings by Zoom expires at the end of the month. And so if we were not to adopt a resolution today, that means we could potentially throw some local governments into a little bit of chaos. So I know the process is to go through a cow first, but I didn't think it was wise or fair to keep this technicality from the board. So first of all, Michael, can you explain what's needed for local governments to, can you explain what this resolution does?
So just to be clear, Mr. Chairman, we're talking not about the scheduling in-person meetings motion. We're talking about the resolution that to establish a state of emergency.
Right. I'm taking it a little out of order, but I think it's important to have this information first.
So, yeah, the Open Meetings Act, when the governor originally had adopted emergency orders, under those emergency orders and powers, was the ability to meet virtually. When those orders were, if you may, removed or taken away, the legislature then amended the Open Meetings Act to permit virtual meetings, but they only permitted virtual meetings for any reason, which is what this would fall under, until the end of this month. After the end of the month, there are some limited reasons that boards can meet virtually, or members of boards can meet virtually, but one of them wouldn't be for a pandemic or for any reason. However, it does provide that if the county adopts a local state of emergency, that public bodies within that jurisdiction can continue to meet virtually for any reason, which would be the pandemic. So I was talking with Commissioner Jackson for a minute this morning, and a lot of communities have been waiting, expecting the legislature to amend the Open Meetings Act to extend that date from its current sunset of the end of this month to some period date in the future. The legislature hasn't done that, does not appear to be interested in doing that, so it now becomes up to each local unit of government, or county, if you may, to do that. So this is a resolution that simply would provide the ability for any public body within the county to continue to meet virtually. And I think we established right now until the end of this year, through December 31 of 2021. County board could modify that if they wanted. They could make it a shorter time period. I don't know that you'd want to do it longer. We'll revisit it, but certainly could shorten it. The other question that came up is, does a public body have to meet virtually under this order? And they do not. A public body could meet in person as long as you continue to adhere to the MDHHS orders that are out with, I think it's a maximum of 25 persons. So, but it does not require that a public body, whether it be the county or any other public body, meet virtually. It just provides that option.
Thanks, Michael. That was the issue that I wasn't certain of when I put meeting in person on the cow last week. That we adopted this resolution, did that mean that we would have to meet by Zoom? And it doesn't. So thanks to Michael, we had to look around to some other counties to see what language they had adopted. But the long and short of this is we didn't want to surprise any of our local townships, catch them off guard if they had meetings at the beginning of the month. So with that, the pending question before the board is to schedule in-person Board of Commissioner Committee of Whole meetings beginning in April at a time of the board's choosing. So I'll open the floor for discussion on what time the board would like to meet and what time you think is appropriate.
I've got a couple things, Ben, if I may. It seems the night meeting issue has been tried before without much success. I have received some kickbacks from my townships, which is predominantly agriculture, of course. And some of their responses are, evenings are already very busy for most and will get busier with spring and summer upon us. Obviously, seniors prefer to drive earlier hours. That would be myself, of course. Employees will also be disrupted in their schedules and family time, not to mention additional costs to our county. As commissioners, most of us assume morning meetings, as that allows us the evening hours for various townships, boards, and committees meetings, which we are responsible for. My position is, although night meetings may be better for some, the past has not worked any better than mornings and will only disrupt an already difficult schedule. I did do a little research into surrounding counties, and basically it's kind of a wash. Some are in the mornings, Kent County, Allegan's at 1 o'clock, Clinton's at 9 o'clock, but then we have other counties that are in the evenings. So that's kind of a wash on that. Some of them actually have their Berry County Commissioner meetings in the evenings, and they have their cow meetings in the afternoons at 3 or 4 o'clock. So that's just some input that I run into, Ben.
Well, thanks for doing that research. I think those are all really valid points. I did do some research too, and the most popular time for local government or for county boards to meet based on the Michigan Association of Counties is not at night. It's at 4 o'clock in the morning, or excuse me, 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Second most popular time is 9 o'clock in the morning. So it seems that meeting during the day is a popular choice amongst county boards of commissioners.
Mr. Chair.
Mr. Chairperson.
Yeah, we'll go John and then Catherine.
Yes, and I also looked in the MacBook, Ben, and it surprised me how many evening meetings there was in there.
Mm-hmm.
But I did, and that has all of our counties in it with all the commissioners. So I personally like morning meetings, but I am not against entirely moving some to the afternoon or evening.
Thanks, John. Catherine.
From my constituents, I hear, difficulty making a 9 a.m., especially for people that are working. And I think it also influences the people that are available to serve the county and board of commissioners by having our meetings in the morning. I would support moving it to 4 or 4:30, which I think would accommodate people being able to make meetings, it'd be a lot easier to take the last hour off of work and a meeting that may go into the evening than it is to take off an entire morning to make our regular weekly meetings.
Mr. Chairman.
Go ahead, Vivian.
So I have heard through this entire last year that people just want to return to normalcy, which I agree with. And all of my business career, and probably before that, but I don't know. But all of my business career, the majority of business is done during the day. Now, I know a lot of things are 24/7 these days, but banks, school, businesses, mortgage companies, everything is geared to 8 to 5. If it would assist people to have a meeting at 8, I wouldn't mind that. But or if you wanted to split them up. But right now, until we kind of know what's going to happen with the COVID, I'm sorry, I forgot that last part. But Catherine said having it at 4 or 4:30. If you wanted to split them, like some of the information that was shared where their cow was in the afternoon and their meeting, if you wanted to do something, but I would like to get through this period and see how the vaccines are going to work, but I would just like to return to normalcy of what we were used to until this pandemic is over. That's what I would like to do. I think people want to get back to normal.
You're here. So I've heard 9 o'clock, 8 o'clock, 4 o'clock. What are the board's wishes?
Go ahead, Hoot.
Yeah, I looked through the county register that the courthouse puts out, and most of township meetings are Monday through Thursday. There's nothing on Friday or weekends listed for meetings in the county register. Fridays and weekends are open. Friday nights and weekends are open.
To echo a few thoughts there from Catherine, I'm not opposed. This is almost heading into 6 years as a commissioner for me. So we see the same smiling faces. Very seldom do we get a big turnout unless there's something really interesting going on. But I'm not opposed to trying something different as well. Now, initially, because we do most of the discussion in the COW, the Committee of the Whole, maybe if we contemplate, if you want a schedule change, try doing the COWs at either 4 or 5 to give people an opportunity to voice their input on that as we're forming our opinions on what goes to the Board of Commissioners. And then keep the BOCs, as Vivian suggested, at 9 a.m. on Tuesdays. So there's an opportunity for those who can't make it in the mornings to participate in the meat of the discussions in the afternoons and vice versa. I think if we're at 4 or 4:30 or 5, you're not in the middle of sports. You're not in the middle of a lot of things. It opens doors. And I think if you want to do that on a trial basis for 60 days and see what the response is from the constituents who've elected us, if it brings more people in and opens the door for some people to participate, fantastic. If we do it for 60 days or 30 days, whatever you want to try, and it's nothing else, then we can go back to 9 a.m. meetings and continue to try. So, just some ideas.
Ben, Mr. Chair.
Yeah, John.
Yeah, I don't disagree with David at all. With what Catherine says, we have to watch it. If people think because we're going to have night meetings, they could, it's better to run for commissioner that way. We need to get out there that at least half our meetings are committee meetings or daytime meetings. Judicial, stepping up, all them committee meetings or daytime meetings.
Right.
And we don't get much public to them, which that's what we're after, moving the COW and the Board of Commissioners meeting is some more public input. So I'm not against that. And also, if we go to afternoon meetings, could we mainly try to get our presentations on the Board of Commissioner meetings? That way we won't be holding employees past their regular scheduled times and stuff like that. Ben, I think we have most of them on our BOCs too, don't we?
Yes.
Yeah, unless we have a requirement that a department provide an annual report and we are stacked when it comes to presentations on a certain agenda, we always strive to have it at a BOC.
Very good. Thank you, Ben.
If you was to start the meeting at 4, you could get a lot of those presentations done before 5. And then there wouldn't be overtime involved and maybe not as much security would be involved.
Right.
Sometimes the meetings last an hour and starting at 4 o'clock.
Yeah, I hear what has been said and I agree with it. We do need to get back to normalcy, and we have been at a 9 o'clock schedule for as long as I've been a commissioner, and that's 11 years. So,
Mr. Chair,
yeah.
I would like to ask Michael a question regarding the payment of the claims and disbursements. If we had our Board of Commissioner meetings in the afternoons, is that going to be problematic for that issue?
I don't think so. That shouldn't be an issue. It's if we start moving the day, then we may have to look at the processes here. It may begin to impact the processes. So, but I don't. The mere whether it's in the morning or afternoon or evening on the same day, I don't think will have a significant impact. No.
Okay.
So what do we think about? Go ahead, Vivian. I'm sorry.
Having a Board of Commissioners meeting in the afternoon on a Tuesday afternoon. My Orangeville, which is the township I live in, meeting is at 7. That would really be difficult. It is a 30-minute drive from here to there, or from the courthouse to there. So it could be a difficult issue for me to attend that late of a meeting on a Tuesday. And I know other commissioners have Tuesday night meetings too. It's just that it's quite I'm probably one of the farthest away commissioners from the courthouse.
Right.
Mine's on Tuesday at 6:30. If we started at 4, I could probably do both meetings.
Yeah.
I don't have as far to drive as Vivian though.
And get dinner, yeah.
So do we want to try 4 p.m. meetings for 60 days?
We talking just the Cal meetings, or are we talking all?
I'm open to either scenario.
Mr. Chairman, I would just add for a minute from a scheduling perspective, the Titan, or not the Titan, the Star Paul, I do know it's available in the mornings every Tuesday. It's available in the evenings. We talked about a 6 or a 7 o'clock meeting the first, third, and fourth Tuesday, but not the second Tuesday. I don't know its availability at this point at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. I can find that out fairly easily, but right now I can't guarantee. And probably my guess is it's available, but I don't know that we'll probably still have the issue of that second Tuesday. We'll have to find an alternate location or adjust, have that meeting in the morning if the board wants to do that.
Well, we could start, we could have April meetings at the traditional 9:00 a.m. and then see what is available for different times in May.
I guess what I'd be interested in is what is your preference, and then we'll have to, I can try to find out availability around that. I just know that right now the second Tuesday at Lees and Sharp is not available in the evening.
Maybe you just want to do the cow for 60 days.
Mr. Chairman,
Hold on just a second. Who is suggesting doing the cow for 60 days at 4 o'clock or 4:30?
I would say 4 so everybody could make their night meeting.
Yeah. Go ahead, Vivian.
yeah, I think it was Catherine.
Oh, I'm
I
sorry.
don't know. I don't know if Vivian was.
There's a thought, but I didn't think he could read my mind yet. Go ahead,
My
Kathy.
only concern is that we have a consistent schedule. It's frustrating for the public if we're shifting times and days. Is that I'm for considering a different time, but I don't want us to be all over the board and have people wondering what time and where are they going to meet this week.
Right.
Perhaps we want to wait until we can meet in person in the chambers. Excuse the cat. To be making these changes when we control the venue.
Mr. Chairman,
That's pretty logical, Catherine. Go ahead, Vivian.
I think that, as I've already stated, I think that we should return to our 9 a.m. time and see what's going to happen after the month ends. We have no idea what may come from Lansing. And at this time, I would just like to continue at 9 o'clock and revisit this in 4 or 5 months, 6, or not in 4 or 5 months, but in maybe June or July when we have a better idea of what is going on with the pandemic. So I would just like to return to our 9 a.m. time. I'm not discounting moving it, but I'm just saying at this time until some of these things work themselves out.
Yeah, like what Catherine said.
Yes, getting back to our chambers, being able to meet, continuing to be able to meet in person. Yes, I would just like to continue at the 9 a.m. hour until we get through this pandemic. And we don't know what's going to come from Lansing.
That sound good how does everybody feel on that? I'm okay with that.
I'm okay with it.
I like the sounds of it.
Me too.
Okay. That being the consensus of the board, the chair would entertain a friendly amendment to schedule in-person Board of Commissioner and Committee of the Whole meetings beginning at 9 a.m.
I would make that amendment.
I'll support Getty.
Is there any opposition to the amendment? Hearing none, the question before the board is approval to schedule in-person Board of Commissioner and Committee of the Whole meetings beginning in April at 9 a.m. Any discussion? Hearing none, the clerk will call the roll.
Connor,
Yes.
Getty,
Yes.
Gibson,
Yes.
Jackson,
Yes.
Smelfer,
Yes.
Campbell,
Yes.
Geiger.
Yes, motion passes. We have no unfinished business. New business. The chair would entertain a motion for the adoption of Resolution 21-10, a resolution approving the tentative agreement reached and successor collective bargaining agreement with the Michigan Fraternal Order of Police Labor Council, Berry County Correction Command Division for January 1, 2021 through December 31, 2025, and authorize the chair to sign the successor agreement.
So moved, Smelker.
Support, Gibson.
That motion is made by Smelker, supported by Gibson. Discussion, Michael?
Yes, just making sure I was unmuted. So between the time that we held the last committee of the whole meeting and today, Commissioner Smelker and I, along with the sheriff, under sheriff, and our labor council, had a bargaining session with the Berry County Correction Command Division and reached a tentative agreement. That bargaining group is small enough that they were able to ratify the agreement immediately, and it's now in front of the board for your consideration and approval, ratification. We provided a copy of the tentative agreements. It is consistent with the agreements that we have reached with other groups thus far. It's in fact a bit of a hybrid between the corrections and I guess more in line with the corrections officers, where it is a 5-year agreement. We do have the retiree health care buyout was approved. The wage increases would be 2% for 2021 with a $300 signing bonus, 2.25%, 2.25%, and 2%. So I'll stop there. I don't know if John has any comments, but our recommendation would be that the board approve the tentative agreement that was reached.
Are there any comments or questions from commissioners?
Just a comment from me. We tried to make all of these agreements as equal as we can with the percentages we have out there. It's between, I believe, 10.5%, 11% over a 5-year period. And this is consistent with that.
Thank you, Commissioner Smelker, for your work negotiating these agreements. It is a lot of work, and we do appreciate it. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, the clerk will call the roll.
Getty,
Yes.
Gibson,
Yes.
Jackson,
Yes.
Smelker,
Yes.
Campbell,
Yes.
Connor,
No.
Geiger.
Yes. The resolution is adopted. At this time, the chair would entertain a motion for the adoption of Resolution 21-11, a resolution to authorize the declaration of the state of emergency for the county of Berry.
So moved, Gibson.
Support.
And moved by Gibson, supported by Getty, for the adoption of Resolution 21-11. Discussion? Again, my apologies to commissioners for putting this on the agenda late, but I didn't think waiting was in the best interest of the county, so I hope you understand there. Any discussion or questions on this?
Chairman,
Yeah, go ahead.
would you please read the resolution, and then I have some comments, but I would like to hear the resolution. I don't have a copy to look at.
Okay. Resolution to authorize the declaration of the state of emergency for the county of Berry, whereas in March 2020, Berry County sustained one of its first cases of COVID-19, whereas Berry County continues to assess its local situational status relating to the COVID-19 outbreak. As a result of this ongoing situation, the following conditions exist. 1, there is significant monitoring, assessment, and response to the virus outbreak locally, regionally, throughout the state of Michigan, the United States, and in other countries. 2, there has been adjustment of policy and procedure for many employees in units of local governmental, business, non-governmental organizations, families, and individuals to include conducting meetings of a public body in a virtual setting in compliance with the Open Meetings Act. 3, strict response and patient care protocols by all hospitals, long-term care facilities, police, fire, and EMS personnel for any interaction with the general public. 4, bars and restaurants are operating at a limited capacity as part of the issued epidemic orders. Schools in Berry County have significantly altered their learning service platform. 5, a widespread outbreak within Berry County could hinder and or cease most daily operations within the entire county and overwhelm essential services. Whereas a request for a declaration of a local state of emergency has been completed for Berry County to ensure local units of government can continue to meet virtually, or that the public can attend an open meeting virtually in compliance with the open meetings. And therefore be it resolved that the Berry County Board of Commissioners, in accordance with Section 10 of 1976 Public Act 390 as amended, and the Open Meetings Act as amended, hereby declares that a local state of emergency exists within our jurisdiction as of March 23rd, 2021, and that local resources and funding are being utilized to the fullest possible extent, and that elements of the emergency operations plan will be implemented as necessary. Be it further resolved that this declaration will expire on December 31st, 2021, unless otherwise extended by the Board of Commissioners.
I'm going to vote no on this. I think our governor's gotten herself in quite a bit of trouble by extending emergency powers, and I'm not about to vote on this. I think our people want to get back to normalcy. From the meeting where we had 2 hours of public comment, I think people want to get back to normal. I think they think that some of these things are uncalled for and unneeded. I think I'm going to vote no on this because I do not want to extend. I don't think we have a state of an emergency in our county. And I think it would be wrong to pass this resolution and say we do. That's all I got to say.
I hear your concerns. From my perspective, the reality is that not all local governments have the ability to conduct in-person meetings. Either their rooms aren't big enough or that they're not going to be able to find venues. These are the cards that we've been dealt. And right now, we're playing these cards through Zoom. I just don't want to stick it to our local townships when they're just abiding by pandemic orders. So
I understand that. But
Vivian, Mr. Chairman.
Go ahead. Okay.
Last week during public comment, Patricia Rail from the Village of Minneville asked that we consider passing a resolution like this to allow them to continue to meet via Zoom, and they've been doing a hybrid Zoom and in person because the council chambers won't accommodate social distancing of the council members and accommodate public. I believe there's probably other local units of government that will face the same challenge. And it would go along with what I said earlier about presenting some consistency for the public to attend meetings if the village council had to meet in an off-site location, they're going to face the same problems that we were talking about earlier in finding a venue that's available during the regular times that they meet. And we all know that it presents a domino effect when we have to try to find places to meet at the times people are expecting to meet. The village has done a nice job of allowing the public to participate. They've had some important pieces of business that they've taken care of during the pandemic and have done a nice job with their hybrid remote meeting model. And particularly because she asked us as a board to allow them to continue to do that. I think it would present the village with a hardship if they weren't allowed to.
May I comment to that?
Well, let me open it up to other commissioners.
Okay. Thank you.
Comment first. Commissioner Jackson.
Yeah, I like both their points. To Vivian's point, I'm going to support this resolution. I'm not supporting it because I support some of the governor's emergency powers and what they're doing. I'm supporting it because I think it's important to give flexibility to our local units of government. And this is the only tool we have to do that at this point, to allow them to meet either with a hybrid model. This is not saying that they have to continue Zoom meetings. If they have the ability and they want to meet in person, that's fantastic. But I also think there has been some real efficiencies that we've seen through some units of government and certain committees being able to participate virtually and bring people together from faraway places that we couldn't normally do with ease during this pandemic. Still a little uncertain how this is all going to play out. I think we're certainly heading in the right direction, but I think this is a good tool. And it's really in my conversation with Michael, the legislature has left it up to us as the county to provide that tool to our local units of government, that flexibility. So I'm voting yes to give them the flexibility, on continuing to operate as need be for the time being. I doubt whether we'll have to take it into the end of the year, but it's nice to have the option. So my thoughts.
Are there further comments?
I would like to say that I agree with Dave totally, and it's not because I agree with everything that goes on at the in the governor's office, but I do feel that we need to leave our townships, especially in my area, the choice and option to do what they deem necessary. Thank you.
Mr. Chair,
Go ahead, Commissioner Smelker.
I agree with Dave and Bruce. I do believe that we need to give our smaller local governments the choice so they can do what needs to be done. And I also agree with Dave where I don't think that our emergencies with Governor Whitmer we should stick by that, but we do need to give our local governments the choice. That's it.
Thank you. Any other comments from commissioners who haven't spoken? Commissioner Connor, do you have additional comments?
Just my comment is, I do not think that we should be declaring a state of an emergency, a state of a county emergency. I think that is not true.
Can I ask one more question based on that?
Go ahead.
Are there other consequences to declaring a state of emergency in Berry County that we're not considering? We're passing this for a very specific purpose, to allow our local units of government the flexibility to meet virtually or hybrid virtually. I don't know if Michael can answer that question, or if you've looked into that. I don't want there to be unintended consequences I know we're using this as a tool for a very specific use.
I'll try to answer that, and I know Jim Yarger, I think, is our emergency manager, is also on the Zoom call today, but my quick answer is no, I'm not aware of any other consequences. Prior to this, there might have been, in that, to Vivian's point, state of emergency seemed to be something larger. And we've always struggled with when to issue that and notify the state. But this isn't a typical weather or type emergency. And we're not first in line in doing this. There's a number of counties. So agencies at the state, municipalities, localities, all understand kind of the narrow scope of this state of emergency. As well, the Open Meetings Act kind of maybe opens the door or closes the door, whichever way you want to look at it, in that the only way to remain virtual is under a local state of emergency. So, Catherine, I get that that's a long answer and maybe doesn't directly answer, but I don't believe that there are any additional consequences, if you may, and I think that everybody, both at the state agencies, the counties, the Michigan Association of Counties, all understand the narrow scope and purpose for declaring it in this instance.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair,
Go ahead.
we vote this in as a state of emergency until December. If something arises, can we vote to take this away before December?
I believe so. I'm pretty confident on that. That might be a question for Jim Yarger, who's on the line. Jim, we can rescind a state of emergency, can't we?
Sorry, I was trying to find the mute button. Yes, we can resend it at any time.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chair.
Any other questions or comments? Hearing none, the question before the board is adoption of resolution 21-11, a resolution to authorize the declaration of the state of emergency for the county of Berry. The clerk will call the roll.
Getty,
Yes.
Gibson,
Yes.
Jackson,
Yes.
Smoker,
Yes.
Campbell,
Yes.
Connor,
No.
Geiger.
Yes, the resolution is adopted. County Administrator's Report.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just following the discussion about meetings, I would note that next week is a 5th week, so we do not have a board or committee meeting. So there will be no board or committee meeting next week, and then beginning in April, we'll be at Leeson Sharp Hall at 9 a.m.
Awesome. Chairperson's report. I have nothing. Vice Chairperson's report.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I was in Florida visiting my mother for 10 days. Last night I did attend the Planning Commission meeting. We will be having a change of zoning coming for the Committee of the Whole and the board's consideration, probably in April. And we did pass that. And another special use we tabled for up to 6 months if needed. And that's the only meeting that I've been able to attend since the last board meeting. It's good to be back. Thank you all. Appreciate all your thoughts and communications during the week and staying in touch with me on things. That's all I have.
Thank you, Vice Chair. Commissioner reports. We'll start with Commissioner Gibson.
Yes, Berry County Transit, Copper Rock is coming back to do some warranty work down there. That's all I have.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Campbell.
I have none today, thank you.
All right. Commissioner Getty.
Yankee Springs Township has passed a short-term rental ordinance, as well as updating their noise ordinance, both in response to the increase in short-term rentals around the lakes in Yankee Springs. So that information can be found on their website, the specifics of what the ordinance requires. I attended a West Michigan Regional Planning Commission meeting, and there was, during the roundtable discussion, a lot of park projects around the region, in direct response to people getting outside more and using trails and parks and trying to accommodate that use. So I'm hoping that Berry County is going to follow suit in responding to our residents in the same way. And the discussion that we've had today, I really appreciate everybody's candidness. I think we need more of this. I think it's important to hear everybody's perspective, and I'm thankful that people are comfortable in giving that. So thank you.
Commissioner Smelker.
Renovations at 911 are moving along according to schedule, and it is somewhat in the demolition stage now. Attended Irving and Rutland Townships. They were in in-person meetings, and it seemed good to get back with them. That's all I have.
Thank you, Commissioner. And Commissioner Jackson.
I am all set. We have the EDA Governance Board tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. and we'll have the Health Department meeting at 9:30 on Thursday. So,
all right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Limited public comment. This time, any member of the public wishing to address the board may do so for up to 3 minutes. Please raise your digital hand now or dial *9 now. We'll go with James Alden first and then followed by Aaron Gross. Mr. Alden, please unmute your microphone. Your 3 minutes start now. You are muted, sir. Jim, you're muted. We'll come back to Jim. Aaron Gross, please unmute your microphone. Start your 3 minutes now.
Yes, thank you. Aaron Gross, Hastings, calling from Texas on assignment for work. I just wanted to say that I submitted a FOIA for the invoices that were paid to the Ever After Banquet Hall, and the total comes up to $9,000. I know that the Commission on Aging hasn't been being used, and I question why we haven't used that facility nor sought out the director's opinion on this, when that is actually our target demographic for the first stages of the vaccine. I'm not against people getting vaccinated, but I am against government waste. That being said, I just wish that there was more consideration and more thinking outside the box done by the health department and the county. That is all.
Thank you for your comments. Jim, can you unmute your microphone? No, we're having some technical difficulties with Jim.
Am I on now?
Yep, you're unmuted.
Okay. I have two comments. One, I think the commission should consider, when Michael declares a very contentious issue in the county that people would want to attend, I would think that the commission would want to meet in an evening to accommodate those public, i.e. the gravel pit in Hope Township right now is very contentious and a lot of people are attending. I would suggest that you might want to consider that when Michael declares that you have a very public, contentious situation and people would want to attend. Secondly, did your resolution just passed include those commissions being able to meet virtually?
They did.
That's the end of my comments.
Thank you, Mr. Alden. Is there further public comment today? Hearing none, there's no other business, and without objection, the board will now adjourn. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.